All right, everyone, Kinsey Schofield here, and I'm with Danny Zelisko of Danny Zelisko Presents. You have such an incredible life, and tell our audience how you constantly, I was just perusing some of your, you've got a very fun social media account. Just, you live like a rock star. Tell the audience how you did this for yourself. You've created your own, you've manifested this lifestyle.
Yeah, it's been going on a long time. Since I was a little kid living in Chicago, there was access to famous baseball players and football players and hockey players, and I always enjoyed the celebrities. I enjoyed these stars, not like from a groupie standpoint, but as a kid, I loved to chase them for autographs. I collected baseball cards. We got things signed, and there was a number of us that did this, and we kind of competed, and we were always around, and it wasn't competing in a bad way, but it's like we always used to get stuff for each other. So I've always liked to collect things that came my way. So in the music business, at the very beginning, I've been doing this over 40 years. The access to these people is unparalleled, and for the most part, they're willing to share things and give you things or sign things or whatever, and I can hand them out to people who I like, and it's nice stuff to have, and I've got a ton of it. So in terms of the social media and what goes on with all these guys, I try to do it in a way that it's not about bragging or showing
Right.
people up, but it's sharing, because I do have great access to them, and having the access comes with a responsibility where you're not pimping it out. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
You've got to be cool with it, because that's why these people allow me to get close. I don't sell people out, and I don't give up stuff that I shouldn't give up about them.
And do you have access to them because of your business?
Well, mainly, yeah,
Yeah.
because, I pay them.
Well,
So I mean, if I'm going to give you a check, I hope you'll say hello and
Yeah.
nice to meet you, and how did it go? Some people, of course, are better than others, but for the most part, I'd say by and large, all of these stars are happy to meet whoever's representing them in a particular town, unless something's really gone wrong and the promotion's terrible, or you didn't supply them with what you promised them, or then you get in trouble. But I've made a pretty good life out of providing what I promise people I'm going to give them.
right.
So then over the years, I don't really get to hang out with these people and go on vacation, but our work is like vacation.
Right.
They come to a hall, I'm anticipating them. It's always nice to be anticipated as a guest. And, they come in and you're ready for them, your people are ready for them, and they see you, and maybe you have a little dinner backstage, or you go out after the show and have a drink or two, or it really depends on the calendar with these guys. But like, take a Jackson Brown, for instance, or Bonnie Raitt, or any of these people. Where I love these guys. When they come to town, they know we're all looking forward to seeing each other. We never really get to see each other much outside of the business.
Yeah.
But the business itself, making music, is such a cool thing for them to make a living in, and for me to be able to be in a position to promote them. And anymore, it's not so much about auctioning off their services to the highest bidder. Most of the time, they're coming here, they want to work with me, I want to work with them. Some infidel from the outside might offer them more money, and sometimes I go, you can't ignore that, you have to take that. I want to do the show, but go ahead. Or they'll say, no, I'm working for you, let's work it out. It's a weird process, but it is a process, and the fact that I got in it so early and at such a young age, when the business was really starting.
Right.
It'd be harder to get in now. You'd have to have a lot more money than I did when I started. I started with 11 grand.
Whoa.
That my dad and another friend of mine and his dad gave me.
Aw.
Yeah, and I promptly lost that.
Well,
But there were great shows. But you have to have enough money to survive, and stay with it in case you have something that goes wrong. Maybe you guess wrong on how many people are going to come, or you don't charge enough for the tickets, or you pay them too much. All that stuff together equals disaster.
Yeah, chaos.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, in that exciting, kind of mysterious business, you had the pleasure of spending time with Prince.
Yeah, not a lot, but you know, my favorite time with him was I looked it up today. It was December of 1981. Were you born?
No.
Okay. Bless you, child. Hello, John. How are you? Good to see you. We're talking some Prince over here.
Sad.
Really. You know, who's watching the store? Who's watching this guy's back? You know.
Sad.
Yeah. Good to see you. What were we talking about?
Oh, December 1981.
So my partner at the time, his name's Arnie Granite, and he runs a company called Jam in Chicago. They're the big concert promoter in Chicago. I grew up in Chicago, but I didn't know him until after I moved out here, and we got together through another mutual acquaintance, and we started doing shows together. And so I came to Chicago. They had this great office in the Stone Container Building at Michigan and Wacker, and right at downtown Chicago. They shared the same floor as WLS radio. It was really cool because I grew up listening to WLS. So it's like these little dreams are along the way coming true all the time. And I'm getting to like work with people who I've watched, whether they be stars or this promoter that I've seen. You know, I know who they are, and suddenly I'm sitting there like this with them, and we're doing business together.
Yeah.
So he goes, "Come to my Prince show tonight." It was the
Oh
weekend
my
he was getting married,
gosh.
and it's at this place called the Erie Crown Theater, which is part of McCormick Place on the lakefront in Chicago. And I go, "Great, I've heard a lot of things about him." And he goes, "You know, we've had him a few times before, and he's growing, and he's growing, and he's going to be huge. He's absolutely ridiculously fantastic. You've got to come." So, of course, you know, you can't turn an offer down like that. I'm a real music guy. I love great shows.
Yeah.
And I went to the show, and I walk in there, and he introduced me to this little guy standing there against the wall, and it's Prince. He's dressed wild, you know, and he's got boots on. And he's still shorter than me, and I loved him for that. And he was very soft-spoken and very nice. And he goes, "So what brings you to Chicago?" And it's Arnie's wedding. And I said, "Also, I came to get baptized tonight." And he goes, "Me?" And he goes, "All right, I'll keep that in mind."
Oh, wow.
And he went out, and I'm sure he did this every night. It was the first time I'd seen him. And I didn't know anything about him, really, except what he looked like. And he had this great song. This isn't on TV, right?
This is on the internet, so I think you're safe.
Okay. The title of the song is "I'll Jack You Off."
Oh yeah.
Okay.
We've all heard this.
Not obscenity, right? But that's the name of the song, and it's one of the greatest rock songs. It's like a dance song. It swings. And I told him I knew that song. He goes, "That figures. You know, you look the type." You know,
Oh,
something like that.
wow.
And very cool.
Yeah.
But he went out for, I don't know, an hour and a half, 2 hours, and just laid this place out. Because at the Auditorium Museum, it had the stage, and it had a thing going off the front of the stage. I still remember this. And there, the Erie Crown had like a deck, like Symphony Hall kind of has it, where there's a. And he went around. He used that whole place.
Wow.
And I'll never forget him jumping up in the air at the end of a song, like Pete Townsend from The Who, and doing a full windmill on his guitar and landing in the splits and ending
goodness.
the song.
Wow.
And I'm going, "Out!" You know, and he came back after the show, and I just adored it. You know,
Yeah.
and I got to walk around that path, so I went anywhere I wanted to see it from different vantage points, upstairs, downstairs. And I go, "Man, if you're going to do this, if you're going to be a musician, you're a singer, you want to be Mick Jagger, you want to be Pete Townsend, Jimi Hendrix, and James Brown."
This guy's all of those
all
people.
at once. He morphed everybody. And I think he probably was a great student of all the music. Miles Davis, Marvin Gaye. He claimed he wasn't in competition with Michael Jackson, and that's another story, I think. But, you know, they happen to be in the same business, so you're always in competition with somebody. And that was it. And I really, he came back afterwards and so how was it for you? I said it was good for me. He goes, so? He goes, baptism complete? And I go, I'm in, babe. And he goes, that's great. And that was it. We went our separate ways, and I didn't see him for a couple, 3 years. I think it was the 1999 tour with Morris Day and Vanity, who were great. And Morris Day is just
Vanity, he dated Vanity, didn't
he? I imagine.
Yeah, I believe he dated Vanity.
You know who else dated Vanity was Nikki Sixx.
Oh, I believe that.
From Motley.
Yeah.
I think that was towards the end of her time as a partier. And those two could rock.
I think she passed away at age 57 too.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah.
She had discovered God and just left this whole life and this whole business. But she had a rough job there.
So tell me, how did you find out that Prince had passed?
I saw it on the internet
Really?
when I woke up yesterday, and I couldn't believe it. I thought it was, when somebody said, "Is this a hoax?" or something like that, and it's like, because this stuff happens. I remember I got one of those. Bon Jovi died years ago, and everybody's calling, writing him, and he sent back a picture to everybody and said, "I'm still here."
Yeah.
And it was a cute thing. This kind of stuff comes up sometimes, but suddenly it made sense. He had just
The flu.
he had just had the flu thing that apparently maybe wasn't the flu.
Right, that's what TMZ's reporting.
I don't know. Look, the world according to TMZ. Has anybody checked, their fact ratio of truth?
They're actually really good.
Are they
I mean,
pretty
to the
much
point
on it?
where us at Fox, if TMZ reports it, we will
Go with it?
because Harvey was an attorney, so he's not going to push anything out that's going to get him.
Well, nobody's going to watch your show if you do it more than a couple times.
Yeah.
You don't want anybody to go prematurely. You don't want anybody to die, especially somebody who you like or love, friend or famous person, and very difficult, with this year in general. People are saying this year is cursed. So a lot of coincidences, a lot of weird stuff. We all just happen to be getting older, and the Bowie thing was very tragic, and Glenn Fry's thing was very tragic. But those were weird medical issues.
Right.
Cancer and Glenn's thing. I heard that there could have been something was done wrong on the doctor's end. I don't know if that's proven or not, but I'm sure they're looking into it. Great people,
Merle Haggard.
incredible talent. Merle's 79.
I don't know. I still love him. I wasn't ready for him to go anywhere.
Look, age has nothing to do with it. You still want them around, and they still want to be around. But at 79, you've had a pretty good life.
We have some presidential candidates that are up there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we have. And we had a president that was that old, who fell asleep a lot with his hand on the switch. Fortunately, he didn't fall over on it.
That's true.
But it's a weird thing about the life and death thing,
But and maybe it's just that we're seeing from that generation, Whitney, Michael, and Prince. I mean, it's sad for us to see.
It all seems like not only did they have, they had something. I don't know about Prince, but Michael and Whitney's case, they had people around them, big numbers on their payroll, and the wrong people were minding the store. Obviously, how to, it's like you can't. You can't, focus on these people and not give them their air and let them do what they want to do. But when it gets to a bad point, now Whitney was in and out of rehab, I think, a number of times,
Yes.
right? I don't know that Michael ever was or not. If it wasn't reported. He was very good about keeping
Very
secret.
private, similar to Prince, very private.
But all of a sudden he's dead, and he was in the middle of rehearsing for a tour.
Oh yeah.
But these guys, they are told every day, 1,000 times a day, by the money they make and people that are around them, and they're glad
They're
handing
yes
them, patting them on the back, and not just the yes man, but that's the vibe. You're the guy, and everybody's around you feeling that way and pumping you up like that, and they're super talented, and then they get super dependent on things, because they're only human, and they have access because of their money to everything and anything that they want, and believe me, it's by accident. And it's not by design. You know, when somebody ODs or somebody over medicates, I think I like that word better. When somebody does that, they definitely aren't doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
They do not want to die.
Right.
But they get into something, and sometimes it takes that human measure, I think, of somebody pulling you back in and going, "Hey, man, dude, calm down. Or we got to stop." You know, because there's a point. Where's that breaking point? And there's only one way to find out.
Right.
And unfortunately, these people are doing that, and they're the greatest talents of our time. You know, I mean, it happened throughout my earlier years in the '60s and '70s. Think of that, you know, Janis Joplin and Hendrix. You know, I mean, dying so young. And they didn't want to die.
No.
They had so much to live for, but they were conflicted and confused about all this adulation. And the star thing, you know, is a very, very difficult thing for people to handle.
Right.
I challenge anybody to try and. How many people who are famous right now that you can think of, you haven't?
Well, I mean, just look at Justin Bieber. We've like literally seen him spiral out of control before.
Well, you know, but he's a kid.
Yeah, with a lot of pressure.
Super talented, but he don't have a roadmap any better than anybody else. Now, I will say about Justin, he did a bunch of goofy kid-like things.
Peeing in a mop bucket, yeah. Peeing in a mop bucket.
Oh, you know, he did some things that people are going, oh, you know, I gotta hand it to him. He came back. He just had a huge tour. It seemed without too many incidents. And you know what? When you gotta blow off steam, you're a star. You get to do that stuff, you know. But you got to be careful because you got to deal with the consequences of whether or not people think you're a pissant or a goofball, you know. And it can change the public opinion about you. And believe me, after these people make all this money, they want to stay in good graces with the public. They crave it like a drug. They want it. They need it. That's why they're still going on stage when they're worth millions and millions and millions. Look at Paul McCartney. Why does Paul McCartney still perform? I mean, he's one of the richest men in the world because he can, number one, but he's still got it. He
likes that feeling.
And it's like that Michael Jordan thing. Why did Michael Jordan come back to basketball? He couldn't live without it.
Yeah.
You know, it's that stuff that goes off in your head. It's like an itch that needs to be scratched, and they need it. And that's why they go out there night after night. Plus, they're so talented. They love to do it. And that's what they do. That's their life. They play live. They record, and they're stars. How many people do you ever see just step down and walk away from it? And in some cases, it would be a great thing because it'd be more fun to have these people alive than dead, because be careful what you wish for. It can cost you your life.
And let's talk a little bit before I let you go. I don't want you to go anywhere. You can stay here all day. I got 3.5 more hours.
I've got a show at 8.
I'm just kidding. But
I'm doing a David Bowie show tonight.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's
yes, let's talk about that really quick.
The one at a Talking Stick. I booked 3 of the shows, and 2 of them aren't playing because people weren't buying tickets. Tonight's show is better at Talking Stick, and it's Tony Visconti, who produced all of David Bowie's early albums.
Wow. And
his drummer Woody, who was in Spiders from Mars and Aladdin Sane and all that, and a group that they made up. I think it's 8 people from England, and they're doing The Man Who Sold the World, which is one of Bowie's big albums, and Greatest Hits, Ziggy Stardust, and all this other stuff. And it's going to be incredible, but it never got branded properly, and it's just not out there enough, and people don't quite understand what it is, I think, which is a shame because it's going to be brilliant.
It's a cool concept.
It's going to be brilliant.
So that's a Talking Stick?
Yeah.
And are tickets still available?
Yeah.
Are they available at the venue?
Door. Just go to the door and buy them. It's going to be so much fun.
What time does that start?
8 o'clock.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds, and it's a Friday.
And it's a Friday, so it's not even a school night.
I know, get crazy. All right, so what I have noticed with Bowie, with Whitney, with Michael, with Marilyn Monroe, Elvis, and James Dean, some of these brands skyrocket beyond all comprehension after somebody passes.
Many of them do. You know, what happens is just when you don't expect anybody could be bigger, they die.
Right.
And we have this media and the internet all over the world. So something that maybe used to take hours or even days to get news to people instantaneously, and the whole world can respond all at once. You know, sometimes you'll post something and you think it's really cool, it's a great picture, it's a little thing you wrote, and 3 people like it.
Well, I don't know that because I have 300,000 followers,
Well,
but I
there you
understand
go.
what you're saying.
So when you post anything, you get 1,000 hits.
I mean, if it's a cute picture,
I'm
yes.
coming to you. Because I'm going to just put everything through you. I only have 5,000, so we have to beef that up.
Yeah, well, it's called a collaboration, like a
Okay.
strategic partnership.
I'm
You're
in.
Pepsi, I'm Pizza Hut.
Oh, well, they go together.
Oh yeah, they do.
Right?
It's delicious.
But where were we? I just lost my train of thought.
You were saying that you upload a picture, you don't get the engagement you want, 3 likes.
Well, what happens is just when you think somebody couldn't be any bigger, Prince sold 100 million records. How about when John Lennon died? He got killed so tragically, which was, you know,
Horrible.
and that guy's still alive.
I know. He
Which
did an Oprah special
Don't
recently.
get no.
Yeah.
He was on Oprah.
Oh yeah, there was like a special on Oprah. Where are they now? And oh no, it was his wife talking about him, and they replayed his old interview with
Chapman.
It was Barbara Walters.
Shooters.
They're the same person. Barbara Walters interviewed him years ago, and then Barbara sat down with his. He's like still married to this woman.
Who?
This is a sweet little woman that he was married to at the time, and it was just like a where are they now?
Why didn't they just string this guy up? No, I'm serious. They saw him do it.
I know.
You know,
And
capital punishment is another thing altogether. I'm obviously, you know, eye for an eye when it comes to that. You know, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway,
very interesting.
John Lennon gets killed. He goes. Just when you think somebody can't be any bigger, they die, they get killed. Tragically, it's always tragic. There's so many more people out there in the world that aren't aware of who this is. You know, believe it or not, there's there's 5 billion people on the globe.
Right.
Right? So if they sell 100 million records, that's not really very many, is it?
Right.
And they're suddenly promoted and put into
That's a good point.
a super limelight, the biggest limelight of all. There's never gonna be any bigger reporting. There's never gonna be any bigger record or single that you can put out, any bigger song you can record. But you're dead, and you've expired. So it's blown up.
Right. It's like the biggest PR blitz in the world.
And most everybody is saying nothing but kind things about him. He was so great, and he was so talented. And now everybody's going, God, I gotta listen to this guy.
Well, I thought it was.
And it reminds you, and you go get it, almost like a souvenir of that day of how terrible you felt for them, or whatever. I mean, there's any number of reasons why people do it. You know, they suddenly want something, and that act is never going to be hotter. As stupid and as goofy as it sounds, that act is never going to be hotter again.
Well, my girlfriend works for Fox National and said she was doing a story and she was talking to some person she was interviewing, and she said, "Isn't it crazy about Prince?" And he goes, I'm a millennial." And she said, "Is this really how it is?" I do think that the millennials, I am one, they're a very selfish generation, but I also think that maybe Prince, we kind of heard our parents listening to it. But after yesterday, I did go, and I always thought if I want to listen to it, I'll just borrow my mom's CD. But after yesterday, I did go buy all of his music. Yes, and I thought he really is so important, and maybe I did just miss it by when I was born. But his music is going to be eternally amazing.
Yeah, no question about it. And there's so many more like them. And that's part of the magic of music, is sharing it with people who've never heard it before. I love the look on somebody's face when I have something really excellent. I kind of know them enough to know
You're gonna love this. Yeah.
And there's nothing like turning people on to music. I started doing that when I was a little kid.
Aww.
I was telling everybody when I was 8, 9 about this group from England called the Beatles.
Whoa.
Nobody knew, nobody cared. Trust me, there's a day like that for anybody you love. And I went around telling everybody I had these singles, 45s for You know, the little plastic things with a big hole in them. I didn't have the money for the big one with the small hole in it, the vinyl.
That came later.
And vinyl is the way to go, by the way, when you're buying this stuff. Get a turntable, listen to the music the way it's supposed to be listened to. And I told everybody in my school, I was in 2nd grade, 3rd grade, I love this band, I love this. And I found out about them because they were on the surveys that they gave out every week in Chicago that showed when they entered the top 40, and they got up to about 37. That's about it.
Wow.
With these songs called From Me to You and Love Me Do, and anyway, they got on the Ed Sullivan Show, and the rest is history.
Blew
but
up.
Before that happened,
You were the
and
guy.
I'm going, you're going to see. You're going to find out, just like I already know. How do you know? Just wait.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it was. It was an instinct. It was an ear. Somehow I got that, and that made me want to keep doing that. It's like, all right, who's next? Now the Beatles aren't mine anymore. Now they're everybody's.
Right.
I want another one.
That's hilarious.
Then there was the Rolling Stones. And then there was Frank Zappa.
Wow.
Nobody wanted to hear about Frank Zappa. I loved Frank Zappa, and I got to promote Frank Zappa.
That's
shows there.
amazing.
And I told them all these stories. My mother said, why don't you listen to the Monkees like the other kids? Because they were safe. They were cuddly. They're little monkeys.
That was Davy Jones, right?
Yeah.
Oh, he was adorable.
Oh, they're
I'd
great.
listen to him too.
Monkees are coming in September.
Oh, really?
I still
Is that
work
you?
with them. Yeah, it's me.
Oh, wow. Hey, with the monkeys.
But Frank was threatening. Frank scared people. People in our business, you know, when they first came out, I mean, they're as controversial as they can be. They're trying to get noticed, and they'll do anything to get noticed because they've got this calling, this work that they're going to do. Prince doing that song we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, get
Lady
attention.
Gaga did that. Madonna
Lady
did that.
Gaga.
Miley Cyrus won't stop doing that.
Right,
Please,
right.
Mother of God, someone settle her down.
Well, she's not going to anytime soon. She's very young. So you got at least another 10 or 15 years of that.
All we can do is pray.
She's an incredible talent. Good for her, you know. And she's got, like I said, you know, sometimes people are, you know, a little over into it. Take Kanye West, for example. I still don't get it. I'm sure he's really super talented, but I just don't get it. And I like all kinds of music, you know. I love the Jacksons for the minute they came out. Prince from that first moment I saw him live.
What about current music? So you don't like Kanye, but is there any current music that
I
you're
like
into?
the fact that people are into him. I like that people are fans. I would never deny anybody liking somebody, but for me personally, it just doesn't float my boat.
Yeah.
As far as who's around now, say some names.
Carrie Underwood.
Brilliant. Watched her on American Idol. I watched American Idol every year. Many of my friends didn't watch that show. I thought that show was brilliant.
That's a Fox show, so we appreciate you watching.
I'm sad that it's off the air. There were things I would have done differently, and I think that show should definitely resurrect. Biggest problem of that show is how much they were paying their judges. That's what buried them.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, $15-20 million a year.
Unnecessary. What about
Great.
Blake Shelton?
Uh,
You don't like his music? Okay.
You know, and that whole thing playing out on stage.
With Gwen Stefani. Yeah, I know. I'm there too.
You know, she's like a punk star.
I know.
She's like an alternative star. You know,
And now she's trying too hard to look like Marilyn Monroe.
Well, I'll tell you what, she can look like anything she wants. She's so gorgeous, and she's so super talented.
All
you
right.
know, I mean, I love Gwen Stefani.
Well, I love Blake Shelton.
And I love Pharrell.
Oh, okay.
I love Pharrell too.
What about Justin Timberlake?
Justin Timberlake's one of the biggest stars of our world. He's like Elvis, you know.
So you do like him?
Love him.
Okay, good.
Love him. I did him with NSYNC when they first were around.
Well, I wish I would have known you then because I saw them in concert over 20 times.
Yeah. Justin's incredible. You know, I mean, these, you know, now of all the people you asked me about, are any of them as good as Prince? I don't know. You know, Michael Jackson, you know, Beatles, you know. It's not about comparing them. You know, Carrie Underwood, first time I saw her with my family, we sat, we watched, and we loved her immediately. She was just so normal and so at ease with her talent, you know. And there's been people on that show like that every year who I think are just drop dead incredible. There was the girl this year, the La Portia girl that didn't win. Loved her much better than the guy that won. The guy that won was really good, but a little too affected for me. She's a monster. I hope she comes out and just
Well, a lot
crushes
of times they do. I mean, look at Clay Aiken.
it. Why?
Didn't win, but is now on CNN talking about Bernie
Is he
Sanders
really?
every day. Yeah.
Is that what he does?
Yeah.
Does he like Bernie or not?
He's pro Bernie.
Pro Bernie, okay.
He feels the
Yeah,
burn.
I like him better.
Clay Aiken feels the burn. All right.
As
Have
long
you
as
ever?
he's not liking Donald.
Well,
We can go off on that for a while.
well, I do want to ask you before you leave. You've met so many people. Ever been starstruck? Who's somebody that really knocked you off your feet? And you can say nobody, because I mean, this is your environment.
No, you know, I mean, I'm a little bit more not at ease around some people, and have become. Prince wasn't really super easy to be around, because not because he was mean or weird or anything. It's just he's Prince.
Yeah.
You know, Michael Jackson was odd to be around. I only was around him this close a couple times. Nice as could be, but you know, I wanted it to be
Does
under
it feel
others.
like there's a wall up, like they're being protective of themselves?
It's like where you are, because there's generally a lot of other people around, so you feel kind of creepy or weird saying anything in front of them, because I wouldn't do that. You know, you know who I was like that around? Last year we did a show. I can't remember the name of it. It was a theater thing over at the Orpheum, and Gina Gershon was the star.
Oh.
Who I think she's like gorgeous.
Absolutely.
Right? And I asked to meet her before the show, and she thought it was weird.
Oh.
And, you know, because I guess she wasn't used to that. So when I met her, I said, I kind of grabbed her by the arms like that, and I said, "Look, I'm really nervous right now." You know, and she goes, "What? She goes, "I'm right here." I said, "Man, are you ever?" And she started laughing and loosened me up, and I really enjoyed meeting her. She was, I mean, of all the people. But, you know, I've been around pretty much everybody. And
Was it exciting to meet Frank Zappa after loving him when
absolutely,
you were? Yeah.
It was crazy. Here, I'll tell you a quick one. Met the Celebrity Theater. It's 1973. I haven't promoted a show yet, but I'm so into this music, and I met the people from the radio station KDKB that were putting on the show, and they got me backstage. And I met Ruth Underwood, who was the vibe player, this beautiful vibe player. She's married to Ian Underwood, who's the horn and flute player, reads for Zappa, and they didn't have a singer. I had the balls to go backstage and say to Frank, "Let me sing.
What?
I want to sing for you." He goes, "What's your name?" I said, "My name's Pony." Pony was something he used in an earlier album. So from then on, my name was Pony to him forever. And then he wrote a song about the pygmy pony over by the dental floss. I might be moving to Montana soon. That's me. Okay? So I'm in that song. And I became great friends with his son Dweezil, who I work with when he comes to town. And I love Dweezil, and he's great. But the whole Zappa, so he goes, "Come over to my studio."
Oh,
You have to get that?
Yeah, one moment.
Go ahead. Let's put him on the.
I have a interesting visual.
Uh-oh. What's that?
I don't know. Let me
It
see.
looks like a truck holding a wheelie.
Let me see here. Oh, well. Continue with your story. I'll put us in the corner, and then I'll let you go, because I know you've got some Bowie to attend to. Did a truck fall in a hole? Is that a sinkhole?
It looks like a sinkhole. It looks like a truck growing out of the ground.
Okay, I don't know what that is, so I'm gonna just go back to us.
That's fun. They want you.
Hello? All right, thank you. Okay, so
I tell Frank that I want to sing.
Pony wants to sing.
Pony wants to sing with Frank. And this is, there's an album called Overnight Sensation, which is a fantastic record. It's probably the best, most commercial, but front side to back side, one of the best Zappa albums there is. But when he was playing it in concert at the Celebrity, there was no vocals. They had vocals written for him, but they didn't have a singer at the show. It was all instrumental, which was amazing because it was great music. So I said, "I know every word to every song that you've done up till date. I can do all those, and you can teach me these." He goes, okay. He goes, come to the recording studio such and such a date. It was in March or April, May of that year. So that was 73. And I go there. I have no money, right? But somehow I got there. And it was Ike Turner's studio, Ike and Tina's studio.
Wow.
It's called Secret Sound in Studio City. I don't remember my name from yesterday.
Yeah.
This stuff I remember.
Right.
And I go to the studio, and there's a desk there, and I'm here to see Frank. Who is it? Pony. And he said, okay.
When you're in a rock and roll studio, do they not even blink when you say the name Pony?
So he said, we'll get him, and they buzz. And tell Frank is a visitor here. And he comes out, and he goes, Pony, how you doing? And he's carrying his red guitar, his SG Standard. And he goes, come on. He turns me around. We're walking. He goes, you can read music, can't you? He goes, dude, I can't do this. You will probably be great, and I want you in the band, and then I'm going to have to teach you how to read music, and I don't have the time.
Yeah.
And so I told this story, so I didn't get in.
Yeah.
And that was that. So that's 73, and then he kept coming to Phoenix, and I kept going to see him, and the next thing I knew, by the end of the 70s, I was promoting him.
That is
Which
amazing.
was totally amazing. Because it was just, when you're not even 30 yet, and something that happened 3 or 4 years before, 5 years before, it's still as fresh as a daisy. I mean, it still is very fresh to me right now. But that was incredible. So there was another guitar player that he had years later called Adrian Ballou, who's an amazing singer, great guitar player. I told this to Adrian Ballou, and you know what he says to me?
What?
I didn't know how to play reed either. I go, and he let you in? Yes. Sorry.
Well, maybe he lied.
Maybe.
I would have lied. I would have
don't
lied to
know,
be in
but,
Frank Zappa's band.
But Frank.
I mean,
Frank died really, really early too. He was only 53.
Oh, that's so sad. I would have said that even if Britney was like, well, can you do choreography? I would have been like, I'm really good at choreography, Britney Spears. And I would have just gotten up there and just been like.
I remember seeing Britney with my daughter. My daughter loved her when she first came out. And I always liked Britney as a result of that. I didn't like it when she made people wait. I don't like anybody who makes an audience wait.
Well, you saw, I put you right up here.
Well, I understand.
I was like, no waiting. This guy needs to be here now.
Well, I'm glad you stick to your time. I mean, I like to be on time with things, but I really hate it when somebody's getting paid a lot of money to do a show at 8 o'clock and they go on at midnight.
Yeah, that's not right.
Like certain Madonna. She shouldn't do that.
Lindsay Lohan.
Well, she doesn't sing.
Yeah, but she does get paid to do a lot for films, and
And
it
shows,
takes her a
then,
long time to get on set. And that's not allegedly.
You know who I do love, though?
That's a literal thing.
Beyonce.
You love Beyonce.
Love Beyonce.
That's a modern musician that you love.
Yeah, I think she's great. And her husband's great too, man. He's a master.
All right, well, tell people where can they follow your adventures? Tell them about your social media accounts. There's Danny Zelisko Presents on Facebook. DZ Presents on Twitter. It's at DZ Presents on Twitter.
Correct.
Are you on Instagram?
And we're on Instagram. I'm ramping all that stuff up because I'm realizing after all these years that Facebook isn't where it's at for everybody anymore. I mean, it's kind of almost. I like it because I'm comfortable with it, but my daughter used to do that, and then when she found out I was on it, she got off.
Yeah.
I guess that's common. Our website is DannyZeliskoPresents.com. It's got all the shows on. It's got information about stuff that we're doing and reviews and pictures and all that kind of stuff. But we're doing a lot of shows at the Celebrity Theater and Talking Stick and Mesa Arts Center and the Orpheum. And when I can, I like to get shows in the arenas here, but that is increasingly difficult when you have the music business the way it is. I mean, everybody's making so much money. It's very, very difficult to keep up, with all that. But, I've been having a great time doing this here, and we'll continue to. But it's important people get off their butts and go out to shows.
Absolutely. All right, I'm going to cut our interview and I'll send it to you so that you can share it on your Facebook.
I can't wait.
In case anybody would like to revisit any of this, it'll be on our YouTube page exclusively too. And I'm going to transition to a Hillary Clinton rally. I don't know where it is, but I will find out where it is.
I hope she changes her outfits.
She does. I watch them all. I watch all of her
She's had
outfits.
some really bad ones, huh?
I
I like her, but I wish
can't
she would,
comment,
somebody else
but
would dress her.
I think she's going for a specific brand.
Damn.
They look very Jack Deal though. If you look back at Jack
Jackie O. Kikara, that true sniper.
Deal. Oh, Lord.
No
And on that
offense.
note,
No offense to Larry, I love her. But come on.
on that note, I'm gonna watch I'm gonna walk Danielle. Thanks,
Bash her
somebody.
for being-
We're gonna walk Danielle. Everybody, thanks so much for watching. And Hillary Clinton's up next.